What if someone told you in 1995 that you'd be summoning a car using just your thumb on a touchscreen? You'd probably laugh them off. But by 2009, Uber made that science fiction a reality. Convenience at your fingertips. A world moving faster, easier, until one ride changes everything. This is the story of a man who gave everything for his family, and lost it all in a heartbeat. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We bring you gripping real crime stories every week. What you're about to hear is real and heartbreaking. It was May 29, 2017, Memorial Day. For most people, it was a time of barbecues, laughter, family, and fireworks. But for Grant Nelson, it was another hustle day. A 34 years old. A kind soul. A big brother. A movie lover. A man who believed that doing good was still worth it, even when the world didn't always return the favor. He had 2 other jobs, but on that Monday night, he logged into the Uber app for a few extra dollars. He had just finished dinner with his sister, Alex, and their family. They laughed over ribs, teased each other about old inside jokes. Alex remembers him leaning back in his chair, smiling. She would later say that something about his presence felt final. Around 3:18 a.m., he accepted a ride just a few blocks from where he was. A girl named Eliza. Walmart pickup. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just another passenger. Grant tapped accept ride. He couldn't have known he had just accepted the ride that would end his life. The Hyundai Sonata pulled into a quiet apartment complex in Skokie, Illinois just minutes later. The streets were still. The night uneventful. Then, chaos. A man, soaked in blood, stumbling, staggering toward a lobby, clutching his chest. Banging on glass, screaming. "Help me! I'm going to die." Residents woke to the sound of terror, not fireworks. This wasn't just a crime, this was a nightmare unfolding in real time. It's easy to hear a crime story and reduce the victim to a name and a date. But Grant wasn't just a victim. He was a human being, with dreams, routines, quirks, and people who loved him deeply. Born in 1982 in Wilmette, Illinois, Grant was the eldest of 3 siblings. His younger sister, Alex, said he had this calming energy. The kind of big brother who'd walk her home when the sky looked stormy, even if it never rained. Grant had a soft spot for classical music. It was more than a playlist, it was a language he shared with Alex. They'd sit for hours discovering obscure composers and laughing at how epic some crescendos were. He also loved acting. Not in a flashy, red carpet kind of way, but he had this passion for theater. He went to casting calls in Chicago when he could, worked on indie projects, and kept his headshot in a neat folder under his bed. He was the type of guy who would drop everything to help someone, his brother Todd said. He had no business driving Uber after working 2 jobs, but he did it for us. To help Mom with her rent. To help Alex pay off her student loans. He was a caregiver in a world that rarely gives back. On the night of May 29th, Grant had dinner with his family. They grilled outside. Took photos. The last photo Alex took showed Grant mid-laugh, mouth open, eyes squinting. That photo would later be used at his funeral. Just hours later, he was bleeding out in the lobby of an apartment complex, fighting for his life, his hands trembling as he pressed the buzzer again and again. Skokie police responded within minutes. They found Grant conscious, barely, still able to speak. With unimaginable effort, Grant gave them a clue. "Uber. Walmart, she attacked me." That one sentence was the beginning of the unraveling. They traced the gray 2014 Hyundai Sonata, abandoned just a few blocks away, crashed into a median. Inside, blood was smeared across the seats. A trail led from the vehicle down a side street. Near the crash site, a Chicago Cubs sweatshirt, soaked in red. Nearby, crouched beneath an air conditioning unit, was a young girl, trembling. She wasn't wearing shoes. Her leggings were torn. Her face was blank. In one hand, a machete. In the other, a hunting knife. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She just stared. But she didn't move. Not until she was tossed. She dropped the blades. Officers handcuffed her. Inside the Uber app on Grant's phone, the name of his last passenger was revealed. Eliza. Just 6 letters. But what did they represent? Would send shivers down a nation's spine. She wasn't 25. Or 30. She was 16 years old. The suspect wasn't who anyone expected. The name attached to the Uber app, Eliza Wasney. Just 16 years old. When her name came up, officers did a double take. At first, they thought it had to be a mistake. Teenagers might act out. Rebel. But this? This was cold. Premeditated. Terrifying. And when the police got her in custody, they were met with silence. "Do you know what you've done?" She looked at them. Then looked away. No apology. No emotion. Just a hollow kind of nothing. Who was Eliza? Eliza Wasney was a high school sophomore at Taft High School, living with her single mother on the north side of Chicago. She wasn't popular, but not isolated either. She had friends. Took selfies. Was registered on kidscasting.com, a site for aspiring child actors. Her bio read, "I will always be myself." But what did that even mean? There was no prior criminal history. No reports of bullying. No signs of abuse or neglect. If you scroll through her old Instagram, it looked like any other teenager's feed. So what went wrong? Detectives reconstructed her steps. At 1:25 a.m., Eliza called her first Uber. She was dropped at a train station in Des Plaines. What she did there? No one knows. At 2:18 a.m., she hailed another Uber, this time to Walmart in Lincolnwood. And that's when things got dark. Cameras caught Eliza walking in around 2:36 a.m. She browsed for a bit. Then went to the sporting goods aisle. She picked up a machete and a knife. She unboxed them right there in the store, calmly removed the packaging, and walked right out. No one stopped her. Not the cashier. Not security. Not even the 3 employees seen nearby. She wasn't hiding them. She didn't panic. She just walked. To this day, no one from Walmart has been able to explain it. Some say there was a lapse in surveillance monitoring. Others blame third-party security. Either way, the result was devastating. Because just 40 minutes later, at 3:18 a.m., Eliza called her final Uber ride. The driver? Grant Nelson. At the time, Grant was winding down. He had dinner with his family, played with his niece, laughed over a barbecue. But like most gig workers, he decided to squeeze in one last ride for the night. The pickup point was just a few blocks away. He didn't hesitate. He never did. 2 minutes in? That's how long it took. 2 minutes after Eliza stepped into his car, she lunged from the back seat and began to stab him repeatedly, in the neck, arms, chest. Grant swerved. Pulled into an apartment complex. Stumbled out of the car. Bleeding. Shaking. Fighting to stay alive. The pieces were now in front of detectives. They had the timeline. They had the weapon. They had the suspect. But what they didn't have was a reason. Why would a 16-year-old girl do this? When they dug deeper, they learned Eliza had been attending a therapeutic day school on and off. Staff said she struggled with impulse control and showed signs of emotional instability. But she wasn't being monitored the night of the murder. There was no mental health check-in. No curfew. No supervision. She was alone with her thoughts, in the middle of the night, with weapons in hand. Grant's sister, Alex, said that Eliza Wasney didn't just kill her brother. She destroyed their future. Her kids will never know their uncle. My mom lost her firstborn. And for what? A thrill? A 16-year-old girl committed a murder so brutal, so sudden, that even seasoned officers were shaken. But no one, not her teachers, not her friends, not even her own mother, could explain why. The courtroom was packed. Reporters. Officers. Lawyers. And in the very front row, Grant Nelson's family. His mother sat completely still, her hands folded tightly over her lap. His sister, Alex, held back tears every time the word murder was spoken. This wasn't just a hearing, it was a crucifixion of everything they loved, all over again. And sitting at the defendant's table was a girl. Eliza Wasney. 16. Slouched. Expressionless. Staring at the floor as if none of this mattered. Eliza was arrested on May 31, 2017, just one day after the attack. She was formally charged with first-degree murder. The big question: would she be tried as a juvenile or as an adult? It didn't take long for the prosecution to decide. The crime was brutal. It was planned. The defendant stole the weapons. She used them. Then fled. This is not a child acting out, this is a predator. And so, Eliza Wasney was tried as an adult. While awaiting trial, Eliza was placed in a juvenile detention facility. But if the court was hoping for reflection or remorse, they were in for something else entirely. Between 2017 and 2019, Eliza racked up over 450 violations behind bars. Yes, you heard that right, 450. She bit officers. Scratched fellow inmates. Screamed uncontrollably. Broke light fixtures. Smeared red paint, and once, even her own blood, on the cell walls. One word kept popping up in her psychological reports. Unstable. But even unstable felt like an understatement. One fellow inmate later told the court something that chilled everyone. She said she wanted to go on a killing spree. She knew how to hide weapons. How to get away with it. She studied it. And when she wasn't hurting others, she was hurting herself. self-inflicted wounds, repeated trips to the ER. And in one particularly haunting incident, Eliza carved the word "die" into the wall of her cell with a plastic spoon. By mid-2020, the state had built a solid case. The evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, Uber ride records, blood DNA, the discarded Cubs sweatshirt, and Eliza's refusal to deny involvement. The defense tried to lean into mental health instability. But even her own case manager admitted that Eliza had violent tendencies that were unaddressed. Then came the twist. In August 2020, Eliza did something no one expected. She pled guilty. Just like that. No grand speech. No breakdown. No explanation. Not a single word to Grant's family. Not even a whisper of "I'm sorry." The courtroom sat in silence as the judge read the final sentence. Eliza Wasney, you are hereby sentenced to 27 years in prison for the first-degree murder of Grant Nelson. Grant's mother collapsed into her daughter's arms. Alex sobbed quietly, clutching her brother's photo. The judge paused, visibly moved. Even the bailiff, stoic and professional, wiped a tear from his cheek. And Eliza? She looked up, smiled at her mom, then looked down again, never once acknowledging the family she destroyed. Alex speaks. We didn't want revenge. We just wanted truth. We didn't get it. But I hope Grant's in peace now. He deserved better. The court was closed. The sentence delivered. But no one left that room feeling any closure. No explanation. No redemption. No justice that could ever truly balance what was taken. The courtroom was quiet now. But the world outside? It was anything but. 2 months after Grant's death, his grieving family filed a lawsuit that caught national attention. Walmart, Allied Universal Security, Monterey Security Consultants. They failed to prevent a foreseeable threat, and that failure led to Grant's death. Let's break it down. Surveillance footage showed Eliza casually shoplifting a machete and a knife. Multiple Walmart employees were in proximity, yet no one stopped her. Security failed to intervene or alert law enforcement. The weapons Eliza used to murder Grant were stolen from that very store. If someone had stopped her right then, my brother would still be alive, Alex told reporters, tears streaming down her face. The lawsuit wasn't just about money. If you made it to this part of the story, please encourage me by hitting the subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up. This would mean a lot to me. It was about holding corporations accountable for gross negligence. Walmart responded with a statement. Our hearts go out to the Nelson family. We alerted third-party security to a suspected shoplifting incident at the time. But the public wasn't buying it. Because the facts were clear, no one stopped her. The cameras saw it. The footage was damning. And no one in that building took action. As the story spread across the internet, social media erupted with fury. #JusticeForGrant began trending. Uber drivers from across the country shared stories of unsafe rides. Eliza's Facebook was flooded with hate comments, until it was taken down. Some commenters demanded that Illinois reinstate the death penalty. The rideshare community was rocked. We risk our lives every night, one Chicago-based Uber driver posted. What happened to Grant could happen to any of us. The incident sparked policy discussions on driver safety, weapon access in retail stores, youth mental health, the role of security guards in major chains. Still, for Grant's family, no policy would bring him back. On June 2, 2017, just days after his murder, Grant's funeral was held. Dozens of mourners filled the church pews. Musicians played a medley of Bach, Chopin, and Rachmaninoff, Grant's favorites. His sister, Alex, gave the eulogy. Grant wasn't just my brother. He was the kind of person who made life softer, even when life was hard. He could have been anything. He could have gone anywhere. But all he wanted was to help people, even if it meant driving tired at 3 a.m. Her voice cracked as she finished. He didn't deserve this. And none of us deserve to feel this empty. To this day, the Nelsons still ask, why did no one stop Eliza at Walmart? Why didn't anyone report her before it was too late? And why, even now, do they still have no explanation for why their son died? Eliza never gave a reason. Not in court. Not in therapy. Not to anyone. Months later, Alex sat down for an interview. The clip went viral. People say time heals. But time doesn't fix evil. It just makes you learn how to live around the hole in your heart. That hole? That's shaped like my brother. Her words struck a chord with families everywhere. The murder changed how rideshare drivers saw their jobs. Dashcams went up. Self-defense tools were quietly kept within reach. And some drivers, especially those on night shifts, quit altogether. A man had died simply by doing his job. This isn't paranoia, one said. This is self-preservation. Grant Nelson wasn't the first. But he better be the last. As of now, the lawsuit against Walmart is still pending. No settlement has been made public. No apology has been issued. And Eliza? She's serving her time at an Illinois correctional facility. She'll be eligible for parole in her 40s. She said nothing in court. She said nothing since. No motive. No remorse. No answers. The murder of Grant Nelson wasn't just a tragedy. It was a failure of multiple systems, and a chilling reminder of how quickly life can end when evil slips through the cracks. Evil doesn't always come with red eyes and fangs. Sometimes, it looks like a 16-year-old girl in leggings, walking calmly out of a Walmart with a machete. Eliza Wasney. The teenager who turned a routine Uber ride into a murder scene. But who was she, really? And what made her snap that night? That is what still haunts investigators, psychologists, and Grant's family to this day. Because the truth is this. No one saw it coming. Not her mother. Not her school. Not even the system designed to catch warning signs before they explode into violence. After Eliza was locked away, reports from the Juvenile Detention Center painted a troubling portrait. Over 450 violations, from biting guards, to attacking inmates, to writing the word "die" on her cell wall using her own blood. A fellow inmate would later reveal chilling confessions. Eliza told me she wanted to go on a killing spree. She had it all planned. How to dismember bodies. How to avoid detection. She even smiled when she said it. This wasn't just an act of sudden rage. It was the unraveling of a mind that may have been dark long before Grant Nelson entered her car. Dr. Lee Carter, a forensic psychologist who reviewed the case publicly, stated, Eliza may have exhibited signs of conduct disorder or an emerging personality disorder, but the signs were either missed or ignored. This wasn't about provocation. This was predatory. But because she was a minor, no full psychiatric reports have ever been released to the public. And that means we may never get the answers we crave. There's a theory, one that law enforcement never confirmed publicly, but many believe. What if Grant wasn't random? What if Eliza planned it all? She hailed 3 Uber rides that night. The first 2? No incidents. The third? She picked up the man who would die by her hands. She walked into Walmart, stole murder weapons, and then hailed a final ride. Did she want to kill anyone? Or did she want to kill him? We may never know. And that's the part that keeps people awake at night. Eliza's mother never appeared publicly. She never released a statement. She never gave an interview. But behind closed doors, insiders say she was devastated. She blamed herself. She questioned every decision. Every missed sign. Every time she said good night without asking where her daughter really was. Imagine raising a child. Loving them. Supporting them. Only to find out one day, they've committed an unthinkable act. There are no guidebooks for that kind of grief. For the Nelsons, life is now divided into 2 timelines. Before May 30th, 2017. And after. There's no closure. No apology. No explanation. We don't want vengeance, said Grant's sister, Alex. We just want to know why. Was he targeted? Did he say something? Or was he just there? Her voice broke. Her tears didn't. Could this happen again? Unfortunately, it already has. Since Grant's death, there have been multiple cases of rideshare drivers being attacked, assaulted, even murdered, by passengers. And in nearly every instance, the drivers were just doing their jobs. Trying to pay bills. Trying to survive. Just like Grant. Jeff Teal, Grant's best friend, visits his grave every Memorial Day. In a video he shared online, he knelt at Grant's headstone and whispered, "You deserve better. You deserve more years. More roles. More music. More drives home. You deserve to live." The story of Grant Nelson isn't just a true crime case. It's a warning. That evil doesn't always look evil. That we must listen closer when people act out. That no job is truly safe when society turns a blind eye. So, why did Eliza do it? Was it mental illness? Was it malice? Was it thrill? Or was it simply a child? Born with a monster sleeping inside her? We may never know. But we will never forget. This was the story of Grant Nelson, a man who just wanted to get through one more ride before heading home. If this story moved you, please do 2 things. Subscribe for more true stories like this, the ones that matter. Share this story. So Grant's name is never forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, the world becomes a little more alert, a little more empathetic, and a little more just.